You might think that causal sound in a film is very straightforward. You see an object being picked up and put down, and it makes a predictable associated sound. And in many respects, that's true. But even the predictability of what sound an object will make is something that sound designers can play with for dramatic or comedic effect. With causal listening, sound can also give us information about an object, something that we can't see but can only ascertain by interacting with it and hearing it. For example, if you have a container full of water, you can't see how full of liquid that container is until you shake it, and the sound will tell you how much water is in there. When the source of the sound is not visible to us, we have to derive information from the properties of that sound, i.e. the general character of the sound and what made that sound. Is it human or animal or a mechanical device? So when it comes to a hidden voice or person's voice, like a radio presenter, we may not have any kind of visual reference as to what that person looks like. We will still construct an entire notion of personality and character.
Punxsutawney Phil!
That's right, woodchuck chuckers. It's Groundhog Day! Get up and kick that hog out there! Yeah!
So when we come to do the art of Foley and we're creating sounds in synchronization with the picture, causal listening becomes very important. What is the predicted sound for what we're seeing on screen? But more about that later. Let's start with this really straightforward example of causal sound. This is the chase scene from Pointbreak, and what you'll notice is that all of the sound design decisions here are extremely literal. And what I mean by that is what you see is what you get. Somebody has gone through this entire chase scene and they have spotted what happens at any given moment and then written down, we need this sound at this moment. And so when a character breaks through a fence, runs through a swing set, and then steps in a paddling pool, we know that there are 3 sounds that we need to hear because that's what we're seeing. And that's the approach of this whole chase scene. What the director's doing here is that he's letting the music guide the emotion. It's a chase scene. We don't need it to be intellectualized. We just need to realistically see the literal impact that these characters are having on the environment, and that's exactly what we get. Now this is another clip that uses very literal sound, but in this clip, this is about the implication of the causal sound. So just to give you a bit of context, later in the story, any sound made by anything of any kind is going to be the difference between life and death. And here the director is focusing on the fact that every single thing, no matter how mundane, it can be simply grocery shopping, all of it makes a sound, and so we're focused purely on the amount of sound that the smallest things make. And so in this clip, as we see him shopping for groceries, or even his footsteps, the things that he picks off the shelf, all of them make a significant amount of sound. So while it's very literal, we start to get a story of how sound can be used in implication. We know that what the story is telling us is that even this mundane action is going to be impossible in the future. Here we start to see the context of causal sound in storytelling. Now, following on from the idea of literal sounds having implication, this is never more prevalent than in horror movies. You ring a dead man's phone and then it rings in the next room, right? We've all seen this. This is a beautiful example of using causal sound to create tension. And here in this clip from The Invisible Man, Elizabeth Moss's character is ringing a dead man's phone. This is her stalker who is believed to be dead, and then she rings his number and, well, this is what happens.
Griffin, please leave a message and I'll get back to you when I can.